Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. She is the best tag team partner in all of wrestling podcasting. She is Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
Just trying not to melt from all this heat. It is. Oh, I don't like it. It's not fun, but
It is summer.
we're surviving. Well, apparently it's the first day of summer. I'm like, I don't think so. It's felt like summer for the last 2 weeks, but we're
Yeah,
here. The air conditioning's on. It feels great.
yeah. I briefly turned on my air conditioner yesterday for the first time this season, and any adult over the age of like 28 to 30 who live on their own that have to pay for the AC and their electric bill. They felt that pain when you finally have to click it on for the first time in the
Yeah.
summer.
I
Yeah.
unfortunately know that feeling very well. I did sit there thinking, this is gonna really hurt next month when I have to pay for this, but I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather be comfortable than have money, I guess. So it's fine, but it is what it is. We can't help the weather, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But this isn't a financial podcast by any means. If you're a first
Thank
time
God.
listener, yeah, if you're a first time listener, no, this is a professional wrestling podcast. And usually, what Shay and I do is answer questions sent in by people who listen to the show. But this week, because we had to do a little bit of a schedule change, we're just going to do a topic episode, basically, is what I like to call it, where we're just going to go over the major things that happened this week in the world of professional wrestling. A lot of stuff has happened between WWE and AEW, so we're going to get right into it. Starting off with last Saturday, the WWE held Clash at the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland, and what an event that was.
All I'll say about it before we dive into it was we told you so. We told you so. I'm sure there's people that didn't want to hear it, they didn't want to listen, but it happened, but we'll get to that later. That's the main
Yeah,
event. So,
yeah, we'll get to that in just a bit. Don't worry, because I know a ton of people had their thoughts and wrote their think pieces about this show. Me personally, I enjoyed the show, but we'll get right into it. I was surprised that it opened up with the I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Championship between Cody Rhodes defending the title against AJ Styles. Once again, this was an I Quit match, and to be honest with you, everyone talks about how good the Backlash match was in France. I thought this was actually a little bit better.
yeah, I think so. I think what I liked about it was it could have easily been just a very back and forth kind of match, but I don't think that would have fit the style of an I Quit match. I feel like when it comes to these kind of contests and matches and whatever, you kind of have to have one person completely just kicking the shit out of the other one for an extended period of time for it to be like believable. So they definitely did that here. There was a lot of just Rhodes would get a lot of stuff in, and Styles would get a lot of stuff in, and it there was blood. There was some blood.
Yes.
Not surprised, but and then Mama Rhodes got involved, which I thought that was that was just funny. Just to see her slap the daylights out of Styles. It's like you don't want to mess with her, but yeah, no, they did really well. Like you said, I think it was just a step up from Backlash. I think because there's maybe a little more violence, a little more action to it, I guess. But yeah, I did love how Rhodes was going to hit him with the steps, and that's how the match ended because Styles quit, and then he hit him anyway.
Yeah, that was the best part. It kind of showed that like Cody can have that little bit of dickish in him, that
Yeah,
he's not so straight laced, that he'll still do stuff like that. I love the Mama Rhodes bit. I thought that was fantastic. She's so great. I also love the spot where AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm and Cody catches him with the chair and he bounces off the ropes onto through the table.
yeah,
I thought that was fantastic. Again, I thought the match was better than the Backlash match was, which was a phenomenal match in its own right. I love the fact that as soon as the bell rang, this match just they went at it. They didn't let
yeah,
up. I thought it was fantastic. Overall, I gave it 4 out of 5 flames. What do you think? What's your rating?
yeah. I'd say that's a solid 4.
Solid 4. All
Yeah,
right. All right. So yeah, Cody Rhodes gets AJ Styles to say I quit, and then he just batters him with the steel steps anyway. just for funsies.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah, just to have a little bit of fun. But again, a great way to open up the show. Next up, we had the match. It was a triple threat tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships with Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair defending the titles against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. This match. This match didn't light my world on fire. It didn't make me go crazy. Everybody's going to point at what happened with Jade. I don't think that's the important part about what happened with Jade. What the important part was is how she rebounded and got back on her feet and got the action to kind of switch up. So I'm not even looking at it. The thing is that I'm looking at is you got 6 bodies in there. Anytime you have a match where it's a triple threat tag team match, you're gonna get some clunkiness. You're gonna get some, misdirection and things like that. Plus, we haven't really seen much of Isla Dawn and Alba Fire on the main roster, so you can't really say if they had any chemistry with the other ladies too, which could have played a factor.
Well, and I think people are also forgetting that clearly from the very opening match, the ref was telling Styles that there was something wrong with the ropes. Like the ropes were loose.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch, there's at least 1 or 2 like mishaps with the ropes in every single solitary match. So I kind of hate it a little bit where it's like, yes, Jade messed up. It's like, God forbid, people mess up from time to time, but you had all these people. Oh, she's still too new. See, I told you, we can't trust her. She needs to go back to NXT. Blah blah blah. It's like Damien didn't really get that same treatment for what happened in the main event.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anybody screaming for him to go back to NXT. It's just like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, guys. It's not like it's the end of the world. Shit happens.
Yeah, it's just being negative for a reaction because before she got to the main roster, the complaint was they're keeping her in the PC for way too long. So which is it? What do you want?
What do you pick a lane? Please pick a lane.
Please tell us what you want. You either want her to be in the performance center for God knows how long, or you want her to be on the main roster and you want to say that she needs to go back to perform. Like pick something. It's just like, oh, these grifters and their bits with that they try to keep up with.
So annoying.
It's ridiculous. But anyway, again, the match, it could have been better. It didn't light my world on fire. I am very surprised that the Unholy Union ended up getting the win. Of course you could look at it and go, they're in Scotland, Unholy Union, they're Scottish, and it's easy to look at way because we already predicted how Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest was going to go down, and you kind of can tell like Piper Niven's good, but there was no way she was going to beat Bayley, which didn't have. So like if any of the Scottish born people had to win to avoid the conversation being, look, they went to Scotland and four Scottish born people didn't even come away with wins, to avoid that discussion, you kind of had to do it this way.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not too mad about it because I've always been a fan of Alba and Isla's, so I'm glad that they got it. I was genuinely shocked that they did. I did hate how some people kind of spun it as, well, the only reason they did that was because what happened with Alba literally a couple weeks ago, and it's sad that Triple H had to flat out say on the press conference after the show, that is not the reason why we did it.
Yeah.
Like, guys, can you just not be happy for them? I mean, I get that people love Bianca and people love Jade. I get it. I have friends that love them, but also at the same time, good for Alba and Isla. They deserve it. God knows they've been through creative hell for God knows how long. So I was shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked too. But this can be a good thing for the tag titles, which since its inception,
cursed.
Yeah, it's been cursed. It just hasn't really had anything to say like, okay, this is when you want to talk about the legitimacy, the lineage of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. This is what you look at. You know, there hasn't been anything there. Also, on the flip side, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill going forward. You know,
are they going to like still be a team? Are they going to start to get some dissension? Are they going to like wrestle at SummerSlam? Are they going to keep that for WrestleMania? Like, who knows? But I'm glad that they did kind of allude to on Raw when Alba and Isla were doing that promo backstage, and Shayna and Zoe came out, and Shayna's like, "Yeah, I'll have you know, I actually did tap Jade out, so I'm glad that they acknowledged that that actually happened." But
Sure.
eh, I'm just, you know how it is. I'm not gonna have to repeat it 5,000 times. It's a struggle being a Shayna and Dakota fan sometimes, all the
Yeah,
time. But
yeah, I know what you mean, but I feel like things are going to get better for Shayna in particular, being that she's kind of featured a lot more than she has been in the past.
yeah, you know what? At least she's on TV. Would I prefer her to actually win some things? Yeah, meaningful things. Yeah, but at least she's not stuck in catering. So there's
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's true. As far as the match, I gave it 2 3/4 flames out of 5. Again, the match wasn't all that great, but it still served its purpose to surprise you at the end, giving the win to the Unholy Union. So again, congratulations to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for becoming the new WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, I'd give it about a 2.5.
All
Like I
right.
said, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I need to go rewatch that. It was fine.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Then we had a great match for the Intercontinental Championship where Sami Zayn was defending the championship against Chad Gable. Chad Gable once again up to his shenanigans, trying to use members of the Alpha Academy to his advantage. This time he only had Otis and Maxine with him, no Tozawa. There was a spot where he tried to use, I believe it was Maxine. Then the
Mhm.
action spilled to the outside, and Maxine's in a walking boot because she hurt her ankle. This time they really wrecked it because
Yeah, yeah.
there was a scuffle between Sammy and Chad, and somehow Chad gets whipped into Maxine, and he sort of chop blocks her in the back of the knee, completely wiping her out. And Otis does the good thing. He says he's going to take care of his friend, and he's going to basically abandon Chad Gable in his time of need, being that he wanted to cheat to finally win the Intercontinental Championship. That doesn't happen. Sammy retains, and Chad gives the most evil death stare
Oh god.
I have ever seen in
Whew.
my life. That look was intense.
The twitch.
Yeah.
Just you're mad when you got that twitch.
Yeah. It was
Oh.
just like a blank, expressionless, like you couldn't tell if he was mad, disappointed,
Mhm.
upset. Like it was completely expressionless, but it was so hollow because
Yeah.
he kept his face like in one position, and the camera just stood there. It was amazing.
It was dead behind the eyes. That
Yeah.
was 1,000% dead behind the eyes. But as far as the match goes, yeah, it was really good. I hope people weren't expecting these over the top creative moves because that's not what you were gonna get because that's just not how these two operate. But no, they told a good story. It was pretty clean in the ring. Got all the drama with Maxine and Otis, and clearly from what we also saw on Raw, we're going towards Gable and Otis at some point, relatively
Hopefully.
soon. I feel like they're just like slowly but surely like inching their way there.
Hmm.
So I feel like after what happened on Raw, we'll finally get more development, preferably. But yeah, no, it was a pretty good match. Can't complain about it. I gave it 3 flames.
Wow. 3. All right. I
Okay,
gave
three
it
and a half. Three and a half.
I actually gave it 4. I gave it
Okay.
I gave it 4 out of 5 flames. Like you said, it was completely clean, solid match, told a great story. And really, I mean, you got two guys who could probably have a good match with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
So again, they didn't have to go out there and do anything crazy, do anything dangerous. Just go out there and wrestle, and that's exactly what they did. I was surprised Chad didn't come away with the win because now he's 0-5 for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Sammy's like, that's done and over with.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done. You're not getting another shot. Not only that, but later on at the end of Raw,
He dies.
Chad Gable's dead apparently. Like,
Right. We'll get to that later. But yeah, rest in peace.
yeah, rest in peace, R.I.P. Again, 4 out of 5 for that match. And then we had Bayley defending the WWE Women's Championship. I don't know if it's Women's World Championship or just Women's Championship. It's Bayley's championship. She was defending it against Scotland's own Piper Niven. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, this is a match that you can see, oh, that's why people were saying Piper Niven was so good in the ring. She really
Hmm.
held her own, and that little 2-minute piece of Chelsea Green being involved didn't take away from the match. It actually added to the match. And
No.
she's one of those people that you look at and they say, like, if you get a minute of TV time, make it the best minute you can possibly make it. And
Yeah.
and she does that. She's given 2 minutes of time, and she just excels at everything. Again, like I said a little bit earlier, you kind of can easily tell, like, Piper is good, but she's not as good as Bayley. Bayley's not going to lose the title that she just won at WrestleMania. But
No.
again, the match I thought was very, very solid. I gave it 3.25 flames out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably agree with you. They made Piper look really good, which is, I mean, even if she's losing, you still want to make her look at least like a dominant opposing force, which
Mm-hmm.
they definitely did. So props to them. I was genuinely surprised at how split that crowd was because we all know Europe loves Bailey. They love singing the song and everything, but I'm glad that Scotland remembered that Piper's from Scotland and, we're like, hey, you got to cheer for the hometown girl too. So that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Green Chelsea Green in that luchador mask was funny, but like you said, it didn't seem like out of place in the match. It was just kind of just at the right moment. It was just funny enough where it's just like, oh, okay, that's like a little funny piece to it, but it doesn't take away from it or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made Bailey look like she had to fight from the ground up and made Piper Niven look one move away from winning the title, which is, I mean, even in defeat, that's all you can really ask for is to look like you had a good match, and they both did. So yeah, I'd say 3.25.
Yeah. I would definitely put Piper Niven in the women's Money in the Bank match.
I Yeah, I would be okay with it. I don't even know what the hell's gonna happen on uh next week when it comes to the because who is it? It's Lyra, Shayna, and is it Zoe or no? There's somebody. No, Natty, I think.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. No, I'm trying. All right, hold on, let me just look this up. But as soon as oh no, it's Kyrie Sane, and I'm just like, I just looked at it. And I'm like, we know who's winning out of that one. We know it's Lyra because why not? And then you had Kyrie and Dakota lose last week, and I'm just like, what is? You're just really starting to test my patience, are you? Like, just put Dakota in the fucking match. If you're not gonna put Shayna in it, please just put Dakota in it for my sake. We've talked about this 5,000 times before. She would do great as a Money in the Bank briefcase holder, except we just know it's gonna be Tiffany Stratton because it's just how this works. But I'm still holding out hope that Shayna, well, maybe not Shayna, Dakota will bring it home for us, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would definitely like to see Piper Niven in the ladder match just to see what kind of opposing kind of side she can bring to a ladder match because like they say all the time in these things, oh well, if you're a bigger superstar, then these matches really aren't in your favor, but that actually isn't always the case. There's been some big moments involving like larger people in ladder matches, so yeah, why not just go for it?
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So, and plus they have like a million spots for the ladder match itself anyway. So
Yeah.
it just seems like a likely thing. And then if you want to have fun with it, you also put in Chelsea Green. So there can be like, you don't want to do any dissension, but you
No.
kind of want to do a thing where it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, who's gonna go after the briefcase? Are they going to help each other get the briefcase? Is one going to screw the other over? So, there's a lot of avenues you can go with it. I just think like Piper showed that she was a solid worker and that she can be an asset for the company.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And then that brings us to the main event of the show. Damian Priest defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre in Drew's home country of Scotland, in front of his friends, in front of his family. It was going to be, the culmination of so much hard work, so much obstacles and hurdles just to get recognized as someone who helped hold the company together through the pandemic, all this great stuff. And then you had the match at Clash. The match was very solid.
Yeah.
Solid. We talked about briefly the ropes mishap for
Damien,
Damian
God.
Priest. That was scary.
ugh, I remember I think, I'm trying to remember. We didn't get to watch it live because it was, 2 in the afternoon. We had stuff to do. But when we watched the replay, Mom and I just sat there and we're just like, oh, we're like, fuck. He just broke his ankle. He just tore something in his knee or his ankle,
Yeah.
whatever. And then he kept like limping on it. And we're just like, why does fate hate us like this? But supposedly he's good. So
Yeah.
thank God for that. But yeah, other than that though, they were able to rebound from it. It was pretty much what you would expect from these two. They were beating the shit out of each other. It was pretty even back and forth. And then the ending, to which we said at the beginning of the show, we told you so.
Yeah.
We told you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I saw a lot of people predicting the ending like hours before the show was gonna happen. It was more so
Yeah.
like, could this be a possibility? This is a thing we talked about months before.
Yeah.
Once the wheels started clicking for something to happen at Clash,
Mm-hmm.
and you knew Punk couldn't physically go crazy,
Yeah.
it just kind of just seems like, man, if you want to get people talking, this is how you get people talking,
Yeah. You're
and
welcome.
yeah, and it worked out perfectly. The one thing I will say that I didn't expect that we kind of got wrong, I thought as soon as the finish happened that the crowd was going to riot. It took them a good 10 minutes after the show was over for the shock to wear off.
Yeah, they were stunned.
Yeah, they were so stunned that it didn't register until, you know, there were recordings being posted on social media where Samantha Irvin was like, all right, guys, have a safe trip
Sorry.
home. Sorry it didn't work out the way you wanted. And then that's when everybody
Oh,
just lost their shit. So
yeah.
the reaction was a little delayed, I guess you can say. But
Yeah.
it just it made the most sense. Like, that's exactly how you get people talking,
Yeah.
and it's like the conversation around everything is like, it mainly is, oh, you're just mad because your favorite didn't win. That sometimes
No.
happens. It's like,
Yeah, don't I know it?
yeah,
Yeah, like no, and first off, that camera angle could not have been any more perfect.
yeah.
Just you did not know who was coming down to that ring until he slid in. As soon as his head slid into frame, I'm like, that's fucking Punk. Here we go. This is what we wanted. But I will say this. Obviously, like we know, there's people that are shockingly complaining about this, and oh my god, they should have given it to McIntyre. That was his moment in his hometown. Why do they keep screwing him over? And it's like, all right. So once again, this is another scenario of people are not seeing the forest for the trees.
Mm,
Because here's the thing. They said how many times leading up to this match and during the match, whoever wins this and has the title is facing Gunther at SummerSlam. That was it. There was no like, okay, well, I mean, you still got money in the bank, whatever. It was like, no, they're facing Gunther.
right,
What sense would it have made to put McIntyre, who is pretty much a bad guy, against Gunther, who is also a bad guy?
right,
There's no story there. What
right,
story is there? You put it with Damien, though. He clearly is going to have to fight to prove everybody wrong at this point because through story and circumstance and whatever, everyone except probably you, me, and mom are saying, well, he always needs somebody to help him. Every time he's defended the title or whatever, he's always had someone interfering or someone doing something to help him. He just can't win anything on his own. What a better place to prove it at SummerSlam against somebody like Gunther, who I don't know who can beat him at this point besides Sami Zayn, but I mean, that's a good story right there.
yeah,
And we said it, and also we said it how many times going into this. Everybody wanted Punk and McIntyre, obviously. That's the big money match. How many times did you and I say on this show that feud doesn't need a title?
yeah,
It doesn't. There's no point. There is no point in that. And if you wanted Punk to live up to his promise of I'm going to make your life a living hell, what part of him would have kept or let Drew win that title at Clash? It would have made no sense whatsoever. And that story is just as compelling when you look at it deep, like below the surface, because this is essentially just Karma coming back to kick McIntyre's ass. He spent months upon months upon months gloating and showboating and just being a menace all over Twitter, and the man's finally paying for his actions.
Yeah.
Who would have thought his actions have consequences, and who better to carry that out than probably one of the most pettiest people on the roster in CM Punk. So as much as you didn't like it, for some people, again, we liked it and I thought it was great. This is what makes sense storyline wise. This is what just makes sense common sense wise. Like, it doesn't always have to be, oh well, the hometown person has to win.
Right.
Because
Right.
clearly, as Piper Nevin, the hometown people don't have to win all the time, especially if it doesn't make sense. If you were going to just be dead set on whoever is walking out with the title in this match is facing Gunther at SummerSlam, what would have been a little more compelling? Heel versus heel, or underdog champion that no one believes in versus an unstoppable force like Gunther? Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, um, it's just I'm just so confused as to, like, again, we're this is WWE storytelling at this point. Like,
Yeah.
why are we trying to deviate from that? Why would we expect anything different from that? You know,
No.
they're trying to tell a larger story here, and it's mainly like what you said earlier. It's Drew, his actions coming back to bite him in the ass. Like,
Yeah.
starting with, you don't crotch chop a guy eye level and tell him to suck it and then expect him just to sit there and take it. It doesn't work that way. But again, it was great. I also, to your point earlier about Damian having to prove himself, I think that's exactly why they did the whole Seth Rollins thing on Raw, which nobody expected at all, was to
Yeah.
see Seth Rollins. But that's exactly what happened. We ended up getting Seth Rollins and on Monday, and then Damian Priest out of nowhere says, "Hey, if I want to be a good champion, I need to challenge you for the title." So he's
Yeah.
basically taking it and saying, for me to be a viable champion, I need you to accept this challenge.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, and mom was kind of bringing this up a little bit today when I was talking to her earlier, and she's like, well, you might not agree with me, but Erik might agree with me, so I want you to talk about it anyway. So I'm just like, all right, sure. And so she said she doesn't think, or her theory is that she doesn't think that Liv is actually going after Dominic after all.
Mm.
She thinks she's going after, or Damien.
Oh. Oh.
Be- because here's the thing, Dominic's too easy. That's like the most obvious. Well, of course, because him and Rhea had like something going on, whatever. So of course you're gonna go for the easy target.
Right.
But why not try and go for somebody even bigger than that? Someone who essentially is the head of the Judgment Day right now and is your best friends, like, is best friends with Rhea. So I mean, why not go for all of them? I guess because mom kind of compared Dominic to like the wounded mouse. Liv's not going to kill him because it's too
Right.
much fun. She won't have anything to play with. But the real target in mom's eyes is Damien, which I suppose could make some sense, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
that makes sense because, again, it fits in with the narrative of Liv wanting to, like she said, take everything away from Rhea. And she
Mhm.
basically, not only, she doesn't even want Dom, which is
No.
which is the craziest thing about this situation, is that she's so good at what she's doing to Dom, but if you think about it, she probably doesn't even want Dom.
Oh no, like if he would finally like fall for it, she'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'm bored with you now," and then just like leave.
Right. And then Finn kind of has an ego to him.
Oh
So
yes.
the reason he took the hotel key could be like, well, why is she going after Dom when she should be going after the guy with 12 abs? You know,
The model.
yeah, exactly. JD McDonough is just a dumbass, so he's kind of harmless.
He's
Uh
just kind of there, yeah. He'll
yeah,
do whatever Finn tells him to do.
exactly. And Carlito's still new, so he doesn't have a dog in the fight. So
Yeah.
it does make sense that like she would try to turn her focus to Damien at a certain point, but it's also going to be interesting because Damien's not going to fold as easily as Dominic.
Oh no, he's got more important things to worry about.
Yeah, he's got he's cool. Like he definitely gives you the vibe that like he's been where girls like live all the time. So like
Yeah.
he doesn't necessarily need this one because he'll just go get a different one.
Well, and he also knows the tricks.
Yeah, exactly. And he knows he's not stupid. You know,
No.
he's not a stupid man. So there's a lot of avenues. There's a lot of juice to what they're trying to do with Damien's reign. I think honestly, when it's all said and done, we're back at it, realizing we probably gave it too much shit. You know, because
Yeah.
it's kind of on the we're trying to look at what Cody's doing with his belt and where that belt was, and then where the World Heavyweight Championship was before it got to Drew. So like Damien has a lot of like big shoes to fill for this title reign. But honestly, I think he's doing a solid job.
Yeah, I'd
And
say so.
yeah, and the situation with Rollins, if he can somehow come away with the win, you know,
By himself.
yeah, by himself, because he did make that point too. He did say he didn't need his crew when Rollins was like, "Is this going to be another setup?" You
Yeah.
know, so like
Hmm.
it's quite interesting. As far as the match, getting back to the main event at
Yeah, the
Clash,
actual match.
yeah, with everything aside, I gave it 3.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say it would have been a little higher maybe without the mishap, but I think they recovered pretty well. So we'll give it 3.5, and then I hope everyone shuts up when Damien beats Seth at Money in the Bank. Because if you beat Seth, there is no like excuse at that point.
Right.
And if you're gonna make an excuse, you're just gonna look like a dumbass. Because well, or the excuse I'm sure will be like, well, he just came back from surgery. It's just like Seth Rollins is a freak of nature. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't affect him at all. So if Damien can beat someone like Seth Rollins clean with no interference or whatever, I think people are gonna have to eat their words.
Right,
And I
exactly.
hope they do.
Exactly. I'm totally with you. I'm wondering if Seth maybe came back too soon.
I I hope not. I was genuinely shocked to see him because it's like, what the hell are you doing here? It's only been 2 months.
Yeah.
Literally, like barely 2 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
So
know. We'll see, but we're we're still rooting for El Campeon, so
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think if anybody should take the title off of him, like we could still look at his title reign, said it was pretty good, and he lost to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Oh, please don't talk. No, please don't say that.
Yeah, I mean,
Please don't talk that into existence because
I
I do not want to have to deal with that on the way home.
yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
true.
hear it.
That's true. You're gonna be there. You're gonna have to deal with the ramifications of the drive home.
Someone is not going to be happy.
So we'll probably edit this part out so that she doesn't hear.
Like she doesn't need to hear this. It's fine. But
Yeah,
I mean, I won't be happy either. But she's going to be devastated probably. But
yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our thoughts on Clash at the Castle. Again, another solid pay-per-view. It got people talking, for good or bad. It got people talking. It got a reaction out of people. They enjoyed it. They stomped their feet, but you know what? They ended up tuning in on Raw. So it's like I guess they weren't too mad. But
No.
but speaking of Raw was an excellent episode this past Monday. A lot of great things happening. A lot of build up to Money in the Bank. We saw Braun Breaker do another incredible spear to Ludwig Kaiser, sawing him in half. Oh, and then at the end of the show, a bunch of people just got murdered.
Yeah, and that's not putting it mildly. That was all right. So we kind of talked about this a little bit in the Twitter DMs and before we came on here. You could not have done that any better.
Right.
Like genuinely any better. And it was I did feel bad cuz I was playing Skyrim, I think. I was playing something. It was probably Skyrim, and I had looked at the clock and I had seen that it was almost towards the end of the show, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope I didn't miss it. And I like had to hurry up and like switch the TV over to cable, and I just had missed when Nikki Cross showed up, so I saw everything after that. But now that I've seen the whole thing, I'm just like, this is just some horror movie level type shit
Mm.
that just sends the chills down your spine, that just gives you the creeps. But it's insane. It's absolutely just it was insane. I loved every second of it. They definitely got us though, and I feel like I don't know if they did this on purpose, but or it was just a coincidence. A lot of those people that every it was like, oh well, it was Carmelo Hayes, it was Gunther, it was Triple H, it was all of that. Apparently, they were all just extras. The only
Yeah.
legit person they actually murdered was Chad Gable. But it was so crazy to think that you like that guy right at the beginning when it was Rowan with the hammer. That guy looked like Gunther. Granted, it was black and blue lighting. It was dark. It was whatever. It was foggy, but it looked a little too much like Gunther. And it was so funny to hear people saying like, "Well, that couldn't have been him because there's no way he would have been taken out like that." Did you see the hammer that Rowan was holding? Like that could take anybody out.
Yeah, it
So
was the old Bludgeon Brothers mallet
exactly.
with the word help on it, you know, and he was wearing the old mask that he used to wear with Luke Harper
Yeah.
too. So like it was like
Crazy.
like I couldn't decipher. And here's the weird thing is like I'm live streaming my reaction to this on Twitch, and most people would be like, they would be talkative, they would be describing what's going on, saying, oh my god, this is awesome, this is incredible, this is fantastic. Me, I
Yeah.
was just sitting there like a complete doofus with my mouth open going,
Yeah.
this is insane. They're
It's
like,
crazy.
there's blood and dead people
Literally.
everywhere. Like, you know, and then the show's over. It still took me time to like decompress.
Yeah.
And but like when it wore off, it was like, man, if this was anybody else and not like Triple H's and his creative teams, their juices behind this would
Yeah.
have went so bad. Like if this was something that was in the hands of Vince McMahon,
Mm,
this would have been horrible because they did everything completely opposite of what you would expect. You had Nikki
yeah.
Cross come out. She did like the, I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Ring, but she
Yeah.
when she, yeah, when she comes out of the TV and she does that army crawl, Nikki Cross did that. Then she points and it's one continuous shot
Yeah.
from Nikki Cross pointing to the back, and then it's almost like you're going through this maze of horrors, you know,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
like every turn there's a different dead body and a member of the Wyatt Six, and it's just like it's like, what did we just see? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things like we always say, it's making sure that at the end of the episode it's gonna make you want to tune in to what's gonna happen next week. Like you're almost like jonesing for it, like you're fiending for it,
Mhm.
you know, because you want to know what's gonna happen. But you have to wait till Monday, and then that's a whole nother story. Like, how does this Wyatt group fit in a wrestling sense?
I don't know. Well, and on top of that too, if you want more intrigue, they crashed the Pat McAfee show apparently.
Yeah.
Like they're going even off of WWE programming, which is wild, but I feel like, and I had sent you this video, and I wish I remember who had it on Twitter. When we all thought these were all like wrestlers that were murdered on live TV, the one she made up a good point, and she said every single one of those supposed people, which I mean, the point still stands with Chad Gable, every single one of the people that everyone thought was dead had betrayed someone that they thought was like that had they had said family, that was family to them or whatever.
Right.
Gunther betrayed Vici, Carmelo betrayed Trick. I think that somebody thought Dominic was there, so it's like Dominic, that's pretty self explanatory. And then Gable turned his whole back on the Alpha Academy, so maybe if that theory holds water, it'd be very interesting to see if they have their own like brand of justice that may or may not be morally more morally ambiguous than most people would, do in that situation. But it's almost like the Shield, except like creepier and more scary and just like, I guess, random in a way, because you go from trashing the entire backstage of Raw to shutting off Pat McAfee's show in the middle of the show. So it's just like they are just firing on all cylinders with creative. Kevin Dunn's probably rolling in his non-existent grave right now because of that shot.
Hmm.
Um, but no, it is so cool. I cannot wait to see how this goes. I'm interested to see if, yes, they're a group, but they start to like branch off kind of into their own things. Like somebody said, why was Nikki Cross the only one wearing all white? Everyone was wearing like dark clothing, black clothing, whatever. They said, well, what if she's the light to Alexa Bliss's dark?
Ooh.
And I'm like, ooh, you got me on that one. Like, where does Alexa Bliss fit into this? Because clearly she has some history there. So it's like, ooh, this is just a bunch of like, you got more questions than answers, and I love it. Um, but yeah, I cannot wait to see where this goes, because this is just insane. This is just crazy. Like, it's creeping me out, but I want to watch more.
Right.
Like, just that whole 5 minute clip, just like you feel the hair on the back of your neck just like stand up, because it's just like, God, this is straight out of a horror film. And like you had said, this 5 years ago would have been a complete train wreck. It would have just been like a mess. It would have been campy. It would have made you roll your eyes. This was just like, oof. Like they even went so far as to supposedly splatter someone's brains all over a wall. Like that poor guy in the gorilla position with the blood all behind him. I'm like, oh, they really murdered somebody on live television. Like this is just, it's insane. Like there's nothing more you could say than other. It's just insane.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Alexa Bliss, my theory is, or what I would like to see if I was to do like a whole fantasy booking thing, would be have her just show up, right? Out of
Hmm.
nowhere, complete surprise, because the Wyatt Six has been causing terror and no one seems to know how to get a handle on her. Then all of a sudden, Alexa Bliss shows up, and it's just Alexa Bliss, almost like a dressed down version. Nothing gimmicky or anything like that, and
Yeah.
she's just there, almost like a pure panic, almost like in Halloween, how like Lori is like, anytime Michael Myers is brought up, she goes in a state of panic, but she knows
Hmm.
what she has to do to take care of him. It's
Yeah.
almost like that, like like Alexa Bliss is like Michael Myers is Lori, where she knows what to do um to neutralize the Wyatt Six, but like no one's really paying attention to her. No one's
Yeah.
understanding how dire this is. And I feel like Alexa Bliss can really come out as like the hero of it, instead of just putting her in the group, you know?
Yeah, I think it'd be too easy just to put her in with the Wyatt Six. I feel like it would just be way more interesting to see her defeat the evil she helped create in a way. So, like a redemption arc in a way. So,
Ah.
because that's kind of what they were saying. Like, I get the whole like, oh well, maybe Nikki's the light to Alexa's dark or whatever, but maybe they flip it. Maybe it's a red herring where it's like, okay, Nikki on the outside may be the light technically, but who knows anybody better than Alexa Bliss? She knows them better than anybody. So I'm very interested to see how she factors into this. Are they going to wait until SummerSlam because it's in Ohio? Are they going to just randomly have her show up on a Raw or SmackDown? Who knows? But I want to see it happen, and I cannot wait to see it happen, because this is definitely one of those, as cliched as it is definitely must see TV right now.
Yes, definitely, for sure. And again, it's one of those things where, as soon as the show is over, everybody jumped to their phones with their theories, and it all boiled down to people are excited about this and they can't wait to see what happens next week.
Exactly.
All right. So that basically covers all the big important things going on in the world of WWE. So let's switch over and change gears to AEW, All Elite Wrestling. And they have coming up at the end of the month their card for their annual Forbidden Door show. It is the show where originally it was AEW and New Japan talent, but now they're mixing in some CMLL stuff. A little bit of the card has been released, and what and the directions that they're going in. So I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the matches and the vibe going into, and the build up to Forbidden Door. I mean, there are some good matches on there, like Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi, which is going to be very, very good.
Yeah.
Moxley and Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship should be good. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy should be great. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa should be good. And obviously the main event, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay. But there's some question marks, mainly MJF's very first pay-per-view match since coming off of injury is going to be against Hechicero from CMLL.
Yeah, which is sure, I guess. Like, I don't know. Well, and apparently you also have like Jeff Cobb with an open challenge match for the New Japan World like television title. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, what are we doing there? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you want to kind of like ease into it a little bit, I suppose, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
did find it a little funny though. I was seeing some clips and stuff on Twitter with MJF. I'm like, I thought it was funny that his promo was, oh, well, this is a no nonsense MJF. This is just like whatever. And it's like, is it though? Because he's still a little bit of a shit. So it's
Yeah.
like, I thought this was no nonsense MJF. Like, whatever. It's like, so we pretty much are just getting the same MJF that we had before he got hurt. So, okay, whatever. But, I mean, I guess it's just a way to ease him back into it, I suppose. Like,
Yeah.
I
Like,
think it's also just circumstance too that there's really nowhere at the top that they can shove him right now because there's just so much going on that maybe that's all we had right now.
yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't want to be that guy, right? But like
Hmm.
looking at this card so far, and we rattled off the majority of the matches on paper look great, but really, and I'm gonna be that guy. If you look at it, Swerve and Ospreay and Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa are the only ones that really have a story behind it. You know, all,
Yeah.
all of these matches are kind of just matches.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, we need somebody from not AW to wrestle, so I guess we'll just pick you, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, it just kind of feels that way, and it's like, and it goes back to everybody now. Everybody likes to jump on the old veteran podcasters out there like Bully Ray, and I'm not saying I agree with everything that Bully Ray says. More often than not, I disagree with what Bully Ray says, but he did
Hmm.
say that Tony Khan is much more of a matchmaker than he
Yeah.
is a booker.
Yeah, just look at the very top of the match or the top of the card, Strick, Swerve and Osprey. Like, it's going to be a great match. We know that. We're going to obviously talk about their promo on Dynamite, but it's just like, why did this have to happen so early? Osprey just won the title a month ago, and now you're throwing him into the world title match? Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just, it just doesn't make any sense. And it, again, feeds into what we've been saying. And like you said, it's the matchmaking lack of foresight where it's just like, oh, this is going to be a great match. This will give us a great rating. It's like, okay, yeah, what are you going to do after? Or what are you going to do for the ending? Like, you cannot possibly have Swerve lose this title already,
right.
but you also can't have Osprey lose either, which is why I guess I'm just kind of hoping, and I'm sure we'll go more in depth into this next week, but it's like I hope that the Callis family costs Osprey because he flat out said during the promo, I don't need them. I can do this on my own. So maybe Callis gets butthurt over it or something, but it's just like they do love having these matches where you look at it on paper and go, neither one of these guys can afford to lose. And you put them both into a match where someone's going to have to lose, and it's not going to look great.
Yeah, for me, it's just as soon as they announced the match, I was like, so soon? Like
Yeah.
already?
Yeah, I literally said the same thing. I'm like, we're not doing this already. We
Yeah.
can't be.
I was
And then we are.
I was just like, so soon. It just doesn't. I don't know why we're going all in, throwing all of our chips in on this one poker hand. You know, like we got a lot of chips. Like
Yeah.
let's spread it out. Let's not just go all in and throw all our money away. You know?
Well, and another kind of goes back to the whole matchmaking thing. What I'm not seeing right now, as I'm looking up obviously at this card right now, the ladder match for the TNT title.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Takeshita, you got Briscoe, you got Jack Perry, Dante Martin, and Leo Rush. So apparently there's one spot left to fill.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not putting the very man that never technically tapped out or got pinned for this title last pay per view, literally a month ago? Why are we not pulling Malachi Black in this? Like,
Mm.
because now you're just going to fast track this whole like elite thing where it's like, well, of course Jack Perry's going to win now because you telegraphed it a couple weeks ago on your promo when they're like, oh, we're just going to give him the title. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like if Jack Perry comes away as the winner, it probably would have made more sense to just give him
Yeah.
the belt in the first place, like everybody thought you were gonna do.
Because it's just like, then what was the point of this whole ladder match and all these qualifying matches for if you were just going to have him get the title anyway? Why is Malachi not in this match? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And it's not even, oh, okay, well, of course, we're House of Black fans. Of course, we're going to say that. But Malachi is a very good justification to be in this match because he's like, I passed out. I
Yeah,
didn't get pinned. I didn't tap out. I passed out. Why is he not in this? Why is he not in this match? I don't understand it. Please, Erik, please make this make sense. Why is he not in this match?
I feel like you're losing your sanity over this.
Because it's just like it is just there's just so many things with this card, like you said, that you just look at it and go, why?
Yeah,
Just why?
yeah. Like a lot of these matches would have done great on TV. You know,
Yeah,
to get a good rating on TV. I mean, you could have Moxley Naito main event Dynamite or a Collision, and
yeah,
that would most certainly get people watching. Same thing if you did a Zack Sabre Jr. Orange Cassidy match on TV rather than pay per view. The main thing is what people don't take into account is people have to shell out $50 for this,
yeah.
you know, and
Uh-huh.
literally nobody talks about that point, whether or not this is a card that's worth $50,
Yeah,
you know.
literally. Like, is it right now? I don't know, but I mean, there's it's tough to say. It's almost like there's a couple of these matches that are worth the $50 price tag, but then the rest of them, not so much.
Yeah, not so much, which is the matches that probably would have done better on cable TV, where apparently ratings matter. Again, I just look at the MJF Hechicero match, and I think Hechicero is pretty cool from what I've seen. It's just this is a pay-per-view, and this is your former world champion's first pay-per-view match after months and months of being on the shelf with injury, a highly touted free agency situation that worked out in your favor, and Hechicero, like that's what we got. We got Hechicero, and they couldn't do the Roos match on pay per view because they don't want CMLL talent. Well, they didn't want their major CMLL talent like Roosh working
Yeah.
on the same card and everything like that because of their issues with what's going on. It's just a crazy situation. And I just feel like either we could have got better participants for the from the New Japan camp to take on AEW stars, or we didn't put enough creative juices behind this to get people interested in these matches.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that's unfortunately just AEW in a nutshell, where it's like, yeah, we got like a couple matches on the card that'll carry the whole pay per view, and it's like, okay, that's not really a pay per view then. Like, it's just you're kind of just relying on a handful of people to carry an entire pay per view with, like you said, a $50 to $60 price tag, and it better deliver. So
Yeah,
let's just say, because if not, then we're gonna have a tough time in a few weeks. But
well, I will say, and this brings us to our next segment. The one match I am looking forward to, and on paper you look forward to it anyway. We're just confused by the timing. But the reason
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it is specifically what happened on Wednesday night in Dynamite between Will Ospreay and the Swerve Strickland promo segment. Like, this is,
Oh.
as confused as we are with the timing of this match, this is a great way to build up a story to get people interested. You build up the
Mm-hmm.
story because they didn't have to do anything physical. It was all with their words.
Oh yes, and they did not hold back on some of those. Like, you could say they both held their own in that. There was not one, oh, this guy completely destroyed the other on the mic. They were both at each other. Like, you had Ospreay with the whole, oh, you had a hit row, I had a hit list, and I didn't miss.
Mm.
You had the whole, you wanted a kill shot, but what if that kill shot you keep promising is just centimeters off? And then Swerve just had to go where he loves to go because he knows how to get in people's heads. And you would think Ospreay, as much as they're friends, would have known Swerve is not gonna not take it personal. And he's gonna go there.
Yeah.
And he should have seen. Did he not realize how bad it got with Hangman? What did Ospreay think was gonna happen? Like, of course Swerve was gonna bring up the family because he knows that's gonna get him in his head. Ospreay's gonna take his eye off the title or off the ball, and Swerve's gonna take advantage of it because he knows how to do it. He knows how to just mess with these guys. And he also made a very good point too. What if I break your arm? What if I break your leg? What are you outside of wrestling? You're nothing.
Mm.
I'm a business mogul. Works with like rap in the entertainment industry. He acts. He does all these things. He's like, so essentially, it was kind of almost like a, I have nothing to lose, kind of in a way. So, I mean, obviously the title, but it's just like, I get hurt and I can't wrestle. I have 5,000 other things I can do. What
Yeah.
can you do if you're hurt? Nothing, because you're just a wrestler. And I was just like, ooh, that was sneaky. That was a sneaky good like line with Swerve because he's not wrong. He's really not. So, as annoyed as we are that this match is even happening in the first place, literally a month after another pay per view, it makes you excited for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing their job there, but it's also still, as much as I'm excited to see it, I would have expected to see this like 3-4 months down the line, maybe.
Yeah. I would have put Ospreay in the Owen tournament and have him
Yes.
win the Owen tournament, so that way you set up the match at Wembley and then do it there at
Yeah,
Wembley. You know?
it was right there.
It's literally right
It
there.
was right
It's
there,
it's
guys.
literally the last puzzle piece you got to put in for this 5,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. It's right there. Just
And
drop
you
it in
just
there. And
you just skip through half the puzzle.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It doesn't make sense to me. But back to the promo, it's Swerve has this uncanny, like, heartless skill set where, like you said,
Yeah.
he'll go there if he has to go there. And
Mhm.
it's not like he goes there with trepidation, or like you can sense a little bit of regret or remorse
Oh
from
no,
going there.
he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He does it for kicks, basically.
Yeah,
Like he does it to get a for shits and giggles, basically. Uh
pretty much.
yeah, and it's just like it's just to see their growth and to see like two young guns carrying a company. It's great. I just feel like with Osprey being the international championship champion, he can build that up as Swerve is building up the world championship. And again,
Hmm.
if you have to do a big money match, you do it at a big money show like Forbidden Door. I mean, not Forbidden Door, for All In at Wembley. Forbidden Door,
Yeah,
it just
it's a
like
secondary
it,
kind of pay per view.
it's a cool concept. It's a cool concept, but again, you run into situations like this where, like, if you're a person, like, at the end of the day, there has to be a reason to see these matches, and you can get away with, well, we just want to see good wrestler A versus good wrestler B. You can get away with that, but if that's your one thing that you're constantly relying on, there is a certain subsect of fan that's just going to get bored with it. You have to
Yeah,
give a reason for people to want to see this fight. As much as we talk about the timing with the main event, that promo segment was enough reason, because it was what we always said. Jerry Jarrett always said, personal issues draw money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Personal conflict draws money. Once a man brings up another man's wife and stepson in a means
It's
to get under your skin, it's like,
over.
yeah, it's all bets are off, you know?
Yeah. Like
So
any reasonable person would be upset because it's like, their families. So it's like, I'm glad that they went there. I'm glad that after watching that, I'm like, okay, yeah, now I want to see this match, but I still can't help but feel in the back of my head, this should be at All In. This should be at like something not Forbidden Door.
yeah,
Or if you were going to do it, this should have been months down the line, not a month after Double or Nothing. Like, it's just, I don't, it just doesn't make sense.
yeah,
It just doesn't make sense to me, but that's why I guess we're not
uh,
working for AEW. But
uh,
but I'm still excited to see it, too soon or not. But another match I'm excited to see, which is going to be a surprise to nobody, is Tony and Mina,
oh yeah.
because that contract signing, it was, well, I think it was only like what, 5 minutes, if anything. They made the most of that 5 minutes. That contract signing was interesting. There was some drama. There was some fun stuff that happened. Mina had a good promo too. Like, you always have this subsection of stupid wrestling fans are like, oh well, they can't speak English, it's not their first language, so their promos suck. No, she got her point across.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
She pretty much said, Tony, in Stardom you were a legend. You became a star in AEW, but ever since you got that title, you have become weak and soft. And even the crowd's just all just like,
Ooh,
ooh, shit. And and then when she's like, at Forbidden Door, I'm taking my title, or I'm taking your title and my girl back, I'm like, oh no. Oh no, no. Like, poor Mariah probably feels like the belle of the ball right now, but it just goes back to that joke I just keep saying of poor Mariah. When your girlfriend and your mom are fighting, like, what do you do? Like, the only thing they could do to make this even better, but I feel like at this point, unless they pull something out on Dynamite next week, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to see Mariah be the special guest referee?
ooh.
It would make sense because Tony would want her to do something, but then Mina wanted her to do something else, and hell, Mina wanted her to choose before Saraya, and had to interrupt and whatever. Mina wanted her to choose. So I like that little, like, dramatic little, like, piece there where it's like, okay, well, if Saraya hadn't have interrupted, what would Mariah have done? So inevitably, we're going to get that answer at Forbidden Door. And it kind of goes into a little bit of what we were talking about or wanted to talk about, which was the Owen tournament. And I was kind of sitting there and I realized, and I kind of had a bit of an epiphany here where Tony had that promo a
Mhm.
little bit ago where she's like, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you with the tournament. You've done so much for me, whatever. Does Tony realize that if Mariah wins this entire thing, she's going to have to wrestle Mariah at All In?
Mm.
I don't think she realizes that. She's
Mm.
too caught up in her own fantasy of just being Tony. I don't really know how else you could describe it. Of just like feeling her fantasy. I don't think she's gonna realize until maybe the semifinals or like the finals of the tournament.
Right.
If Mariah wins this whole thing and the crowd gets behind her, like I know they're going to because they sure shit are online, she's in trouble. Tony's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, that might be a good direction to go, because again, it's simple storytelling. It doesn't insult your intelligence. It makes you think. It makes you want to tune in to see which direction they're gonna go, because there's a lot of twists and turns you can go with this. And yeah, it'd be great to have that moment again. Everything should be geared, or start to get geared toward All In.
Yeah.
Not to bring up the other place, but the around this time, if Forbidden Door, I don't want to say is the lead into All In, but it's almost like Forbidden Door is their Royal Rumble, which kicks off WrestleMania season. Forbidden Door is
Yeah.
is what kicks off All In season for for AEW. So I feel like things need to start moving in the direction where, yeah, it's Forbidden Door, and maybe you'll have one more pay-per-view in between for July, but really, like, we need to start shaping in getting people interested in All In, start building up some stories,
Yeah.
and again, that brings us probably to our next segment, which is the Owen Hart Cup tournament for both the men and women. Like, the fields for both sides are pretty solid, but for me, it's just like, god damn, with you having the most bloated roster in all of North American professional wrestling, there should be more than 8 people in the tournament.
Yeah, and the fact that you have one quarterfinals match at Forbidden Door itself, it's kind of just like a little
Yeah, it's
but
like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this could be a thing, like New Japan has the G1 Climax tournament that takes, from July to August. Why are we not thinking the same sort of dynamic here? Why are we not taking literally almost everyone in our roster? For example, for the women, they could have easily took from ROH, they could have slid in Billy Starks. They could
yeah,
they could have slid in Queen Aminata. They could have slid in Layla Hirsch, Marina Shafir. They're
Abaddon.
Abaddon. Like, literally every single woman on your roster should be in this cup tournament. And instead of it being a quarterfinal, semifinal, and then final, like, you can have a round robin point system,
Yeah,
like
literally.
New Japan. It's like 3 points for a pin, 2 for a win disqualification, 1 for count, shit like that. Like, no
Yeah,
points for a loss. Like, make it interesting, because then you can build another story, which is, say someone loses their first 3 matches and they come back and win all of their next matches to go to the final of the tournament. Like, there's stupid stuff you can do there to build it up and make it seem important.
yeah.
Eight people in a single elimination tournament for the Owen Cup is like, really?
It's like they on paper they make it seem like the Owen Hart Cup is a really important thing, but then when they put it into practice, it really makes you think otherwise. Because just look at the last two people that have won it for both sides. They had their belts, they had them for a week or two, they announced them as the Owen Hart Cup winner, and then after a while, it's just like, okay, no one gives a shit. We'll just wait till next year. It's just like, guys, you got to make it actually seem important,
Right.
and they don't do that, and I don't really get why. I don't understand it, and it's just, yeah, eight people in both brackets is just ridiculous at this point. But clearly, I guess the step in the right direction is they actually get a title shot as opposed to a belt that no one cares about apparently. So I'm like, progress, I guess,
Yeah,
but
like, there's a prize at the end of, like, a physical prize at the end of
yeah,
it. But I mean, like, what if you win the tournament and and you lose your world title shot? It's just like, well, I guess that's
no,
good. It's almost like they give you the trophy and they give you the belt, and like you said, you parade it around for a week or two and then it's forgotten. It's like, why not just give them the trophy and they could parade around, kind of like NXT does with the Heritage Cup, you
yeah,
know?
like clearly, if you don't want the belt to exist, then don't have the belt.
Yeah, like,
Like,
it's a like,
it's so
but
weird.
for
It
me, it's
just
just like, why only 8 people? Like, you
Yeah,
could.
like just think about the Japanese and like the what was the tournament, like what they called it? It was the Japanese side and then the US side. They had like what, 12 people, 16 people in that whole
Right.
thing? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
It's
Like,
like,
what are we doing?
yeah, it's like, okay, you got Hikaru Shida, but why not, like, Emi Sakura?
Yeah.
What's Yuka Sakazaki doing?
Riho,
Riho, like
where is everybody? Like,
where is everybody? Like, you know,
I'm glad they remembered Nyla Rose existed though, so that was fun.
yeah,
Like, and she got a really good reaction in Richmond, so you know what, good for Richmond. Thank God you didn't let me down, but
yeah, and
did
it's
you put her up against Stat though? I'm like, why are you guys doing this to me? Like,
like,
of course Nyla's not gonna win, but fuck's sake.
it's just, oh my god. And then, like, they already knocked out 2 of the women's quarterfinal brackets with Willow beating Serena Deeb.
Yeah.
and Statlander beating Nyla Rose. All right.
Hmm.
So already the semifinals is in the bag for next week to determine the final. And I believe the final is happening on, it says according to Wikipedia, on Dynamite.
Yeah, which I'm just like, it's just sad that you blinked and you already have half the semifinals already said. Like,
Yeah, it's just
what are we what are we doing here? But I feel like, I mean, just looking at this right now, so you got Deanna and Sheeta and Mariah and Saraya.
right.
I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory where the semifinals are going to go from here. I would think it's got to be Mariah and Deanna.
Yeah, I would say the same, which kind of sucks because Hikaru Shida is just fantastic.
Unless Thunder Rosa costs Deanna the match.
That could happen.
So
That could
either
happen.
either way, you're gonna get Mariah and Deanna or Mariah and Sheeta, which I think we all win either way with that one
Yeah,
because that both those matches would be fantastic.
yeah,
And you mean to tell me that there is a potential here that we're gonna get Stat and Mariah May in the finals?
yeah,
Like, sign me the fuck up for that.
yeah.
Like,
Let's keep Saraya away from the final. Let's keep Saraya away from All In. Like,
yeah,
completely. I'm sorry that's her
yeah.
home country, but as soon as she decided to open her Yap box and be like, I want to bring my boyfriend and his shitty
Oh,
band to All In,
no,
I was like,
no.
let's just shut the whole operation down. Let's
Let's not
make
do that.
yeah, let's
You
make
had
sure,
your moment.
yeah, let's make sure this doesn't get out of hand where people just think, oh, we're in the home country. I got to get my home country moment, because now
No, we don't.
we got to have to deal with Saraya's shitty boyfriend. So let's keep her away from the final. I think
Mariah will have her hometown moment there.
Mariah is so good. It's not even like,
Like,
it's
it's not
not
even a
even,
contest.
yeah, but it's not even like Mariah is beautiful. Like, Mariah is such a good professional
She
wrestler.
can go.
Yeah, like she has a gas tank on her that is crazy, and she's not afraid to throw those shots in. Like,
Mm-mm.
she's legit. So like Mariah,
So I kind of want to see her and Sheeta because those two are gonna beat the shit out of each other.
yeah,
Like I said, we win either way because I mean, let's be completely honest here. I do not see this tournament ending any other way than Mariah in the finals. Mariah's got to be in the finals.
Mariah
Like,
versus Tony at All In does sound really good.
so I feel like, so even if you just like take the other half of the bracket out of it right away, Mariah's almost a lock in, I think, for the finals. So, which means she'd have to beat Saraya, which I love Saraya. We've talked about it before. Like, she helped reinvigorate my love for women's wrestling. The way this is going right now, there's no way Saraya is winning this match. Mariah's beating her. Like, it's obvious. So then you got Mariah versus either Deanna or Sheeta, which those matches by themselves are just great. Like, that's just, those are going to be great matches. And then if you get Mariah to the finals, you have either Willow or Stat waiting for her. Oh, come on. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Which I feel like with the way it's going right now, you'd have to have Stat win because I feel like you kind of can't halt her momentum as a heel
right. So
by having her lose right
and
away.
she would probably, it'd be better for her to cheat to win too.
Yeah, Stokely's going to do something, so it's most likely, we'll just say, let's not guarantee it, but there's a pretty good chance it's going to be Stat and Mariah in the finals,
Mhm.
which that would be great.
Yeah,
For storyline wise, it would make sense for Mariah to go to All In, but let's just put it this way: Stat and Mariah in the finals, I win either way, so I'm okay with it. But I feel like the story just makes more sense
right.
to have Tony as these few weeks go on start to realize that, oh shit, if Mariah wins this, she has to face me.
Mhm.
And if you want to go even further, then if she does finally realize that she gets the title shot, maybe Tony finally is just like, okay, well, Mariah, you'll just, like, lay down for me, right? You're not gonna actually win this title. And Mariah's like, excuse me, I actually think I can.
Right.
So I think that
Or
might be where they're going.
or
Maybe.
they can do that plan, and Mariah's like, she just wants to appease Tony, and then Mina shows back up, and Mina's in
Oh.
Mariah's ear. Like, Mina's not even trying to get in Mariah's ear because she's being petty because she loses to Tony at Forbidden Door.
No.
She just genuinely cares about Mariah, and
Yeah.
it's almost like a Sami Zayn Otis situation, where
Yeah.
and Mina's in Mariah's ear like, no, you can do this. You can be a champion. You
Hmm.
can carry that championship, and it fires Mariah up to face Tony. You know, and
Yeah.
but again, it all ends with Mariah winning the whole thing. She's the better one out of literally almost everyone in this tournament. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like,
Literally.
but it's like there should have been so many other people. Why is Harley Cameron not in this thing?
Yeah, like she's so good. Like I slight little like off the tangent there in a way, but I was listening to AEW Unrestricted and at work a couple days ago, and I actually listened to Harley's podcast or her episode from I think it was a couple weeks ago or maybe a couple months or so ago. It made me like her a lot more.
Really?
Like she does not take any of this stuff for granted. Like I could not tell you the amount of times when they would kind of like bring up working with the Outcast or working with QTV or whatever. It's like she would always say over and over again how thankful she was just to be in these positions. So I like her, and then the way she's good in the ring too.
Yeah.
Like we were all just kind of like, okay, maybe. Like, I mean, she's funny in promos and she can like do that, but can she actually wrestle? Yes, she can actually wrestle. So I agree. Where the hell's Harley Cameron? Why is she not doing anything than being Soraya's like sidekick? Like we can do so much more than this, guys. And also, where's Abaddon? Because you could do so much with Abaddon. And the fact that they're just sitting at home doing nothing makes me so mad. Because it's just like, guys, you have a bunch of talented women's wrestlers on your roster, and you're just like, they're there, I guess.
They exist.
That's it.
They exist.
We pay them.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it feels like. It's like everybody's getting paid, which ultimately is not a bad thing. Like,
No.
you know, you want people to get paid, but it's like
Really?
it's almost again it boils down to, well, Tony Khan has an unlimited bank account. You know,
Yeah. So it's like it's a guaranteed paycheck, but are you actually being like feeling fulfilled?
Yeah. So it's just kind of it's again it's a weird time because like AEW does this thing where they have really good shows. Like they'll have like for a month, like after Tony got attacked by the Elite, and they started that whole storyline leading up to the pay-per-view Anarchy in the Arena match. That was great TV. Everything was great, but now it feels like they're back in that lull where it's someone, I can't remember who, they were talking on a podcast about AEW, and they're like, the problem with AEW is if you miss one show, like if you miss,
You're fine.
yeah, if you miss a Dynamite or a Collision, you're good. You're good. No,
Yeah.
you didn't miss anything of consequence, or you're not like, damn, like a fear of missing out where you don't give your reaction like everybody is. It's not like, you know, on the other side, if you missed this Wyatt 6 thing live, like as it was happening, you missed some pretty cool shit, you know?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Like if you don't, if you're not keeping up with the Alpha Academy story, you're missing some pretty good shit. You're missing, you know, you have to keep up, because if you don't, if you miss 2 weeks worth of shows, you're going to be in complete darkness. With AEW, a lot of the shows is just, oh, this is a cool match, but I'll just catch the highlights if I miss it, you know?
Yeah, I will say though, Collision last week was pretty good. Like the 1 year anniversary Collision was good, but I'm also slightly biased so because I do have a bit of a fun story. You kind of already know where this is going, but so it was in Youngstown, which is about less than an hour and a half from Pittsburgh, but for I don't even remember. I think we had plans, so we unfortunately couldn't like go, or like the tickets were just a little too ridiculous for Youngstown of all places. So my boss actually ended up going, and another one of my coworkers they were going, and so I knew my boss was sitting on the floor, and I knew my coworker was sitting on the floor. I didn't realize they were sitting 8 people like away from each other, so they were literally on the camera side. So if you would go back, I could tell you which ones they were. But I'm looking and I found my coworker, but I could not find my boss for the life of me. And I'm like, okay, this is not hard to like find him. He's literally bald with glasses and a beard. Like, why is this so? And of course, there's like 3 to 4 bald guys with glasses with beards in that section. So I'm just like, where is he? He said he was going to be like close to like the ringside. Like he literally bought a seat ringside for like $200.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, which is like sadly cheap because Pittsburgh it's like 500. But I digress. So we're like kind of just sitting there watching the replay, and it got to the Christian Cage segment, the Father's Day thing or whatever. And I'm kind of sitting there, and I see this sign in the corner, and it's the corner right by the turnbuckle. It was like right next to Shayna Wayne, and I'm looking at this sign, and I look at the person holding it, and I'm like, okay, well that's my boss for sure. He was wearing a hat of all times. And I told him, I'm like, why are you wearing a hat? I was not looking for you in a hat. And I'm looking at the sign, and I feel like it says Shay is all elite. And I'm kind of just looking at it, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no fucking way that my boss actually made that sign. Like, I'm like the complete opposite of like the main character syndrome. I never think anything's about me ever. I'm just like, there's no way. That's not him. That can't, well, it's him, but I'm like, that can't, there's no way. So I like took a picture of it, and I like sent it to him, and I'm like, are you the guy in the orange hat? And in hindsight, I forgot I accidentally messaged like the work like landline phone, so now it makes sense why he never answered me back. So I went in Monday because after you see it a couple times throughout the broadcast, and I'm just like, okay, after a little while, I'm like, that has to be on purpose. Like that has to be me because I don't think he knows anybody else with that name. And so I went in Monday, and I had to go into his office to drop something off, and I'm just like, I cannot believe you actually did that. I said that was cool. He's like, oh yeah, no, I had that plan the whole time. And he said I was gonna have people sign it, but no one was coming over. And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's still the thought that counts. I thought it was pretty cool that I was on TV. I'm sure when we post this episode, I'll post like the picture to prove it that I'm all elite now.
Yeah.
And he said the cool thing about it was that I think he said it was towards the main event. They were like waiting to come back to TV for the main event, and Aubrey Edwards saw the sign, and she's like, "Oh, who's Shay?" And he's like, "Oh, it's one of my coworkers." She's like, "Oh, that's like really cool." So I guess Aubrey now knows who I am. So it's fine. I'm secretly working for AEW.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you're one step closer to being, into the company of All Elite Wrestling.
To getting the graphic that RJ still hasn't gotten.
That's one of the best running gags is that he still hasn't got his graphic.
I hope one of these days he does, though.
Well, like, you got your graphic.
That's finishing the story. Yeah. That's the actual finishing the story is RJ getting the graphic. But yeah, and then I got to my desk Monday morning, and my boss had actually taken a couple Polaroids of when you can actually see the sign on TV. So I have a couple Polaroids on my dining room table of him with my sign. So I thought it was super cool, and so it definitely made my night. But when we post this tomorrow, I will post the picture I had to prove that I'm not making this bullshit up, that it actually did happen. So I have proof. But yeah, it was super cool. But yeah, other than that collision, it's kind of been up and down, and like you said, it's a very bad thing when you can skip a show or two a week and be like, oh yeah, no, nothing really happened, I can just catch up on Twitter. Like, that's not a good sign.
Right, because again, at the end of the day, this is kind of funny coming from me, but like Vince Russo said on the WCW documentary thing that's on Vice now, he's like, this is a television show, and at the core of it, he's right. And that's why I say book the television show, that at the end of the television show you want more, but now you gotta wait a whole week, so it's like they're not doing that. They're just putting stuff together, slapping in a couple segments that go, oh well, that was pretty interesting, that'll get me to watch. Again, the Will Ospreay Swerve Strickland segment became interesting because Swerve went there. So it was like they needed that little interesting bit to get people to want to see this match, to actually want to pay $50 for this match. In this economy, that's crazy.
Yeah, in this economy.
Yeah, it's like, it's insane. But of course, because we have to do this for the show purposes, we'll be tuning into Forbidden Door at the end of this month on pay-per-view. For next week's show, because since we're at the tail end, we're going to be giving you our quick predictions for what's going to happen at Forbidden Door. Plus, I believe we're going back to our questions format.
Yeah, I feel like other than just the predictions, we should go back. Also, I just realized we never talked about the men's bracket. So who do we see win in the men's?
Oh yeah, the men's
Oh my
bracket.
God.
The men's bracket. If we're going story wise, I would go.
We'll see if the brain cells there.
I would go with Danielson because he's already, kind of planted that seed. And if you think about it, you'll have Danielson versus Pac. That would be the semifinal. That would be great. And then you have Ray Phoenix, Jay White. I would probably move Jay White up to the next bracket.
I would just shoot Jay straight to the finals.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. Danielson, Jay White, all final would be good. Then you kind of wonder who's this TBA. Who's the wild card?
Yeah, because apparently you can only do that for the men's bracket, not the women's. I don't really understand that. But the worst part is that because of that promo, it kind of almost doesn't make me want Danielson to win it because I feel like it's just obvious. It's kind of just but then again, like we talked about 5,000 times, if this is the end of his full-time run as a singles competitor or just a wrestler in general, why would you put a title on him?
That's true. That's a very good point.
So if I wanted to be, I guess, selfish, I would want Pac and Jay White in the finals because there's clearly history there, and I would send Jay to the finals and then have him win it and go to All In.
Oh, so we could have
because I can.
We could have either a Jay White Swerve Strickland or a Jay White Will Ospreay, which would be good. I would have Danielson go to the final. He loses, and Nigel McGuinness just has a raging heart on the entire time that he loses. And it pisses Brian off so bad that he attacks Nigel, thus setting up Nigel McGuinness, Brian Danielson at All In Wembley.
Yeah, there we go. That's more fun. That's more fun to me because again, it's just that whole. I really hope Tony doesn't fall for that. Oh, we got to get that feel good moment in for Danielson, and then we're inevitably going to have him vacate the title, just like you did for the tag titles when Sting and Darby won them. Because great, you got the big feel good moment at the end of the pay-per-view, but then it's just you're gonna have to inevitably make another multi-person gauntlet match or another fucking tournament just for a title. Don't. I like your idea way better because it makes sense. If you have two guys who are clearly not going to fully wrestle anymore, why not do it in Wembley? Why not have the whole thing that everybody wants? Everybody wants Nigel and Danielson, so it's just put I don't know. In my perfect world, just put Pac and Jay White on the finals and have Jay win the whole thing.
That would be good. I would really, really enjoy that final because, again, like you said, they have history. They can cut good promos against each other to get you interested in the match. And this is one of those, you can have the good match on paper as the matchmaker, and you can also be a good booker and try to put a story behind this. And not just a story of, the Bang Bang Gang attacking Pac and taking out, the Lucha Bros because they're closely associated. That's too lazy at this point. That's already been done. We need to amp it up,
Yeah,
we need to amp it up. We need to say this match is going to sell a huge chunk of pay-per-view buys, going to sell a couple tickets. This is going to be a money maker for us.
Yeah, exactly. We know what we're doing. Don't worry about it.
We know what we're doing. We're just like every other person on the internet, wrestling fan, that, CM Punk says we need to leave that fantasy booking shit at home.
Yeah. Well, and you know what?
Well, to his defense, I don't think booking mid 40s CM Punk, who's injury prone in a Hell in a Cell match, was a smart thing to do. Mr.
Yeah.
Journalist guy that does the media scrums in WWE.
Hey, you know what? At least Triple H did better than last time. He handled it better than he did last time, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that PR course that somebody sent him must have been working wonders.
it worked.
Yeah, it worked wonders. But yeah, so surprisingly for a topic show, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, we did. We got to throw some extra stuff in there, and yeah, I'm all elite now, so that's all that really matters. So, like,
That,
but no, it was a good episode.
I wish I had some Photoshop skills. I would definitely Photoshop a Shay all elite graphic.
No, I don't want RJ City getting mad at me.
Oh no, that's the last thing, because he is vile when he's mad at you.
Exactly. It's just like I'd rather be in his good graces. I love his shows, so
Exactly.
stay that way.
Well, we hope that you love our show, the Ringside
Yes.
Rundown podcast. And if you've gotten to this point at the end of the show, first off, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to support us and listen to us ramble about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. Now, usually we are a question and answer based podcast where I ask you guys to send us in questions and you as a listener do so, and that's how we format the show. This one was just a little different for scheduling purposes, but our next show, which will be dropping, I believe, Wednesday, will be back to our original format. Plus, we're going to add in some Forbidden Door predictions in there for your enjoyment. So again, if you want to check out this podcast, it's available on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, all the Amazon Music and Audible platforms. It's available basically wherever you listen to podcasts. But if you can't find it on your platform of choice, just hit us up on social media and I will send you a link on that platform on a silver platter. But the caveat is you have to give us back the silver platter because we only have one. So,
101.
yeah, and it's very expensive, so you have to give us back. Also, if you need to hit us up on social media, just remember we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The username is Ringside Rundown. We're also on YouTube, Ringside Run Pod on YouTube. Our YouTube, we're getting close to 400 subs on YouTube in a little over 2 months, which is crazy. Our TikTok, at ringside_rundown. TikTok, every day we're getting like 10 new follows a day. It's just crazy what's going on over there in TikTok. So it's all really, really awesome. So thank you guys for the support. Check us out on social media if you can. Find the podcast. We'll get you a link. If you want to talk to me or get my personal thoughts uncensored about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, you can follow me on Twitter at WrestlingChron. That's Wrestling CHRON. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Twitter at ShayleneHickson21 talking, I don't know, absolute nonsense about everything, but it could be a good time.
Yeah, definitely throw her a follow as well. Also, before we get out of here, throw us a follow on Twitch. Twitch is where I do live watch-alongs on every single WWE and AEW show. So that's basically Raw, SmackDown, NXT usually we don't because that's when we record the podcast, but Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. I am on Twitch watching the show. You can turn on the show on your TV, watch it with me, and if you think of something interesting to say, you can say it in chat. We can talk about wrestling. So go ahead, find us on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Throw us a follow, be a part of the fun, and just check out all the things that Ringside Rundown has going on.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going. Like I said, you're definitely the face of all the reactions and of all the media content.
I
go check it out.
don't know if that's a good thing if you want me and my face to be the face of Ringside Rundown. But again, this is a partnership that's been going on for now over 3 years. I believe our 3-year anniversary just passed.
Yeah, because I think we started in June of a couple years ago. I don't remember. It's been so long.
It's June of 2021 that we started, and I remember this was our first episode dropped June 10th, 2021.
That's it. That is so insane, and it's just like it still blows my mind to this day. That was the first time we actually ever met. I know we've talked about it a couple times on the show, but we never talked until we literally put the headsets or the earbuds in and got on for the first episode, because it could have been a train wreck from the very beginning. Like, we could have just been like, okay, like, cool, I guess, but like, we have no interest, like, favorite wrestlers or anything. But I think as soon as we were like, yeah, we like Ruby, we like Malachi, we like all them, we're like, okay, you know what, that was the end of that. So
yeah, I'm reading the description for the first episode, and it literally talks about us meeting for the first time because of this episode. And we talk
yeah,
about when Aleister Black and Ruby Riott had just left WWE.
yeah, it was a very rough time at the beginning of that episode and of our series. But you know
But
what?
that was they Ruby Riott and Aleister Black had just left WWE. That was our first episode.
It was, it was how times have changed.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Here we are 3 years later, still doing it, and we have no intention of stopping.
Yeah, we're still going.
We're still
whether people like it or not, we're not going anywhere.
We're still going. Well, then with that, I guess it's time for us to say goodnight again. Please check out the Ringside Rundown on all podcast platforms. Share amongst your friends, your family, your wrestling friend, coworker who weirdly sits in the corner munching on Cheetos listening to wrestling podcasts. Let them know about the Ringside Rundown and let them know we exist.
Yes, please.
Yes, for Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez. Thank you guys for joining us. See you on the next episode.
See you later, guys.